Script, parts of a script. There are, it breaks down, there are only 7 parts of a script. Specifically, scene heading, action, character, dialogue, parenthetical, transition, shot, and text. I'm not going over transition, shot, or text tonight because I don't ever want to see you using them. But they exist. The reason I say that is from a purely a writer standpoint, it is not your job to decide what the transitions are, what the shots are. If you have a shot in your head, there are ways to put it on the paper without explicitly saying close-up, POV, we zoom in on. It's clumsy, and whoever's reading it will think, well, that's my job. Why do they tell me my job? So let's jump straight in. Scene headings. Start off every single scene. All caps, left aligned. Starts with first interior or exterior. Sometimes interior/exterior. Especially when you're doing a car. A shot inside a car is always interior, exterior, because you can see outside from inside. Not so with other locations, like if you're inside a kitchen that has a very large window, it's still interior even though you can see outside very plainly. Followed by where we're at. I've got here interior pool house, exterior fire escape. It can be anywhere. Sometimes you may want to specify more. Instead of just pool house, you could say interior pool house bathroom, in case you're going to multiple bathrooms in this script, and it's important that we designate which is the pool house bathroom and which is the main house bathroom and which is the bathroom on the spaceship. Down here. Past that is the time of day. Usually you're forced to choose between time of day. You pretty much need to include it every time unless it's obvious what you're doing outside of that. And I know that sounds very vague, but what it means to say is for instance, I have one of these that says interior bat cave. Inside the bat cave, it doesn't matter if it's day or night. It's always dark, and you kind of understand that. An indication there might be a time, if you're trying to keep things chronologically and show people where you're moving to and from. If it's morning, then all of a sudden it's afternoon, especially if you're going to be playing with the time stream in your film, or if you want to play with how it's shown how it's cut up time-wise, sort of like Pulp Fiction. If you wanted to do that in your script, which is permissible, and have fun with it, my only warning is to write out the story first and then try and cut it strangely for greater dramatic effect, as opposed to going in with the dramatic effect already in mind. Dusk. I'm going to warn people against dusk and daybreak. This is extremely hard to shoot because the window to shoot is so much smaller than just day or night. A sunrise or sunset, you've got, what, maybe an hour to get that shot? So only include it if it is extremely important to your story. There are plenty of ways to get around it, but try and stay away from it. All right. I'm going to show here. This is what I see a lot of times. This is one scene. Interior Kevin's house day. Kevin gets up from his living room couch as he sees a spiny creature scurry in his peripheral vision. Following its sounds, he walks through the hallway and into the bedroom. Chewing a stuffed bear, the spiny creature spews cotton as Kevin steps back in horror. I see this a lot. It's all one scene, but really, we've changed the locations twice here already. And that really needs to be shown. If you're going to follow him, if you want the shot to follow him specifically, you need to show every single room. Got a corrected version right here. 3 scene headings. Interior, Kevin's living room. Day, Kevin gets up from the couch as he sees his fighting creatures scurrying his peripheral vision. New scene heading. Interior, Kevin's hallway. Continuous. Especially, like I was saying, if you want it to follow, continuous is a permissible thing to do. You don't want to overuse it, but it is available in your arsenal. Following its sounds, he walks through the hallway and into interior Kevin's bedroom. Chewing a stuffed bear, the fighting creature spews cotton as Kevin steps back in horror. If you'll notice here, I left an ellipses into the bedroom. The person reading it is going to understand visually, it's going to make sense on screen. This is just to take up less room and to make it more interesting to the reader. If you repeat bedroom twice, it kind of, it's a small kick out of the story, and you want to keep your reader immersed in the story. It doesn't matter who it is, but especially if it's somebody who can possibly produce your story, you want to keep them inside that story for as long as they're reading it. Another thing that people like to use moments later, I've seen used, here we're using it to comedic effect. Exterior, fire escaped, 3 a.m. It doesn't always have to be day or night. It can be something specific like 3 a.m. A tangle of rope sits at the end of a fire escape, 30 feet off the ground. Alex looks down over Manny's shoulder. Manny eyes the rope. Alex, we're never getting down. Manny, dude, I'm like the king of rope, for sure. Exterior, fire escape. Moments later, Alex and Manny dangle from the fire escape, still yet 20 feet from the ground, tangled in rope. Alex, king of rope? I should have known, if it talks like an idiot. It's a simple jump cut is all we did there. And we didn't have to say jump cut. We didn't have to say cut to. Moments later is your cut to. It's a good way of getting rid of that camera direction, which we're not supposed to touch as writers. Unless you're making it yourself. And again, if you're making it yourself, you could scribble pictures on the page in crayon and make it like nobody's going to stop you. Any questions about scene headings before I move on? Scene heading specific questions. Does anybody want to make any jokes or fart noises? I want to break the tension. It's really silent in here.
Oh.
Okay.
Everybody's all ears.
Well, good. This is actually moving faster than I anticipated. I hope that you're okay with me going this quickly. In here, I've got an example from Juno. Has everybody here seen or read Juno by Diablo Cody? Enough people? Okay, well, here's an example straight from it. Exterior, Centennial Lane, dusk. Juno walks slowly and dejectedly up the street to her house, gnawing on the super rope, which is a large licorice whip. She stops and loops the super rope over a low-hanging tree branch, contemplating how to fashion a noose. The McGuff house approaches. The yard is a wild tangle of prairie grass and wildflowers. So action-wise, this paragraph, what do people think about it?
It's a lot of action.
How long needs to be broken up,
It does need to be broken up. There is a lot of action. I said it's an excerpt from Juno, but it's an excerpt that I messed with. Here we see it. It is broken into 3 spots. Juno walks slowly and dejectedly up the street to her house, gnawing on the super rope. 1 shot. She stops and loops the super rope over a low-hanging tree branch, contemplating how to fashion a noose. A different shot. 3rd shot. The McGuff house approaches. The yard is a wild tangle of prairie grass and wildflowers. People get really upset when I tell them not to use camera direction, not to use cut to, wipes, fades. Everything you need to do, you can do with your language. Action is what you show, what we see. It's the most important thing in the script because it is a visual document. If it was a stage play, you could put all dialogue. You don't even need sets. If it's just the raw emotion of two characters talking, that's something that the actors can figure out from your dialogue, supposing it's good enough. And it better be good enough if you want to get it on the screen. But the screenplay is visual. And I know that you've got those images in your head because every time somebody talks about this script, they say, oh, I've got this image of this happening, and that's great. But we need to see it, and we need to feel the emotion that you're feeling from that description, or else it's just a pretty picture.